Hey, Jason here from Simply Swider. Is your Samsung washer displaying the dreaded UR error code and stopping dead in the middle of a wash cycle? You're in exactly the right place. I'm about to walk you through 5 proven solutions that fix 85% of UR error cases. Even better news, most of these fixes take under 30 minutes and cost less than $50. Before we get started, if you run into any questions, jump into our Facebook group, links in the description. We've got thousands of people helping each other fix their appliances, and I pop in there daily to help out. So, the most obvious cause, and honestly, this fixes about 60% of the UR codes I see, is that your clothes are just bunched up on one side of the drum. You'll know this is happening when the washer tries to spin, starts shaking like crazy, then stops and throws the UR code. Sometimes it'll even add more water and try again before giving up completely. Here's your step by step fix. First, open the lid and look for clothes bunched up on one side. Spread them evenly around the drum. Imagine you're arranging numbers on a clock face. For heavy items like bath mats or comforters, add 2 or 3 towels on the opposite side to create balance. Pro tip: Samsung washers are Goldilocks machines. Not too full, not too empty. Fill between half and 3/4 of the drum for best results. I had this customer last month who kept getting UR codes washing single towels. One towel. Soon as she started throwing in a few items together, problem solved. Now, if you're getting UR codes even with properly balanced loads, you're probably looking at worn suspension rods. These are the shock absorbers that keep your tub stable during the spin cycle. And on Samsung top loaders, they wear out way more often than they should. You'll notice the washer shaking excessively, maybe even banging against the cabinet sides. Here's a simple 10-second test. Open the lid, place both hands on opposite sides of the inner tub, and push down firmly with about 20 pounds of pressure, like you're doing a push up on the tub. A healthy washer should return to position with maybe one small bounce. If the tub bounces up and down like a trampoline multiple times, your suspension rods are worn out and need replacement. The fix involves replacing all 4 rods at once. Don't try to get away with just doing 1 or 2, as this can create new balance issues. Safety first, disconnect power and water and allow 30 minutes for any residual water to drain. You'll need a flashlight and possibly pliers. Then prop that lid open to access the rods. Each one hooks at the top and slides into a slot at the bottom. Pull out the old ones and install the new ones in reverse order. You're looking at about 30 to 50 bucks for aftermarket rods or up to 140 for OEM Samsung parts. Here's something that catches a lot of people off guard. If your washer isn't sitting level, it's going to throw that UR code even with a perfect load. This happens all the time after people move their washer or if it's sitting on carpet. You'll notice the whole machine rocks back and forth when you push on it. You'll need a standard bubble level for this check. Place it on top of the washer running front to back first, then side to side. The bubble should sit perfectly centered in both directions. If not, you'll need adjustable pliers or a wrench to turn the leveling legs at each corner, clockwise to lower, counterclockwise to raise. Once level, use the lock nuts on each leg to secure them in position so they won't shift during operation. For front loaders on pedestals, sometimes you gotta tip the whole thing forward slightly and set it back down to get it seated right. If you've checked everything else and you're still getting UR codes, the Hall sensor might be acting up. This little sensor monitors how fast your motor and drum are spinning, and when it goes bad, the washer can't tell if it's actually spinning properly. Here are the telltale signs. The spin cycle sounds sluggish or makes grinding noises. The drum spins much slower than normal, or your clothes come out soaking wet instead of just damp. You might also notice the washer takes longer than usual to complete a cycle. This is a more involved repair since you gotta access the motor assembly to get to the sensor. The sensor itself runs about 40 bucks, but here's the thing. Sometimes it's not the sensor that's bad, it's the wiring harness that connects it to the control board. All that vibration over time can break the wires, which is actually more common than a failed sensor. This is the one nobody wants to hear about: a bad control board. If you've ruled out load issues, suspension rods, leveling, and the Hall sensor, and that UR code keeps popping up, the main control module might be sending false, unbalanced load signals. Here's what I always try before replacing the board: unplug the washer for at least 10 minutes to do a hard reset. Sometimes that clears up whatever glitch is causing the false error. But if the code comes right back, you're probably looking at a control board replacement. These run anywhere from 150 to $300 plus labor. So at that point, you got to ask yourself if it's worth fixing or time to shop for a new washer. Here's what that UR code actually means. Your Samsung washer has detected an unbalanced load and automatically shut down to prevent damage to the motor and drum. Think of it as your washer's built in safety system. We'll start with the quickest 2 minute fixes that solve most cases, then move through the more advanced repairs if needed. Grab a pen, you'll want to check these off as we go. Trust me, after years of fixing these things, I've seen this error code more times than I can count. Suspension rods are going to run you anywhere from 28 to about $142 for a set of four, depending on whether you go aftermarket or stick with Samsung OEM parts. I've seen the aftermarket ones on Amazon for as low as $28, while the genuine Samsung parts can hit almost 150. Here's my take. The aftermarket ones work fine for most people, but they might not last quite as long. You can grab these online or from appliance parts stores. This is definitely a DIY friendly repair. I'd rate it about a 2 out of 5 for difficulty. Way cheaper than the $500 service call you'd pay to have someone like me come out and do it. The whole sensor itself is pretty reasonable, about $40 for the part. Problem is, it's buried down in the motor assembly, so this is more of an advanced repair. I'd call it a 4 out of 5 difficulty wise, and like I mentioned earlier, sometimes it's not even the sensor that's bad. It's the wiring harness that gets damaged from all the vibration. If you're handy with electrical stuff and comfortable taking apart the lower section of your washer, this is doable. But if you're not sure what you're doing with wiring, this might be where you call a pro. Control boards are the expensive fix. You're looking at anywhere from 150 to over $300, sometimes up to 493 for the really fancy models. These are usually behind the main control panel, and I gotta tell you, this is a difficult repair. 5 out of 5 for complexity. Plus, control boards aren't something you can really test before buying, so you're taking a gamble that it's actually the problem. Here's my rule of thumb. If your washer is over 7 years old and needs a control board replacement, it's probably time to start shopping for a new machine. For newer washers under 5 years, this repair can be worth it, but definitely try everything else first and consider getting a second opinion. Now you can see right there on the screen some of the most common Samsung models that run into these UR code problems. Take a look, you might even spot your own washer up there. Don't worry about memorizing all those model numbers, but you'll notice a pattern with the Samsung top loaders especially. These suspension rod failures are pretty notorious on certain series. Your Samsung UR error code action plan. Step 1, redistribute your clothes and verify the washer is level. This 5 minute check fixes 6 out of 10 cases immediately. Step 2, if the error persists, test those suspension rods using the pushdown method. Bouncy tub equals worn rods that need replacing. Step 3, for persistent issues, work through the whole sensor and control board diagnostics. Most of you will be back to doing laundry after steps 1 or 2. Most of the time, one of these fixes will get you back up and running without calling a repair guy. If this helped you get your washer working again, hit that like button and drop a comment below. Let me know which fix worked for you. Really helps other people with the same problem. And if you haven't already, please subscribe to the channel. We'll get this out to more folks who need to save some time and money. Thanks for watching, and I hope you guys have a great day.